This is HI before AI, human ingenuity before artificial intelligence. Before color film, before digital colorization, or AI, the world's first photographs were brought to life by human hands. From Paris to Yokohama to Halifax and Montreal, artists and photographers used pigments, chemistry, breath, and extraordinary patience to transform monochrome images into vivid portraits and landscapes. This is the story of how hand tinting began, how it spread across the world, and how Canadian studios became some of its finest practitioners. The story begins in 1839 when French inventor Louis Daguerre introduced the daguerreotype. A silver-plated copper sheet was polished to a mirror finish, sensitized with iodine vapor to form silver iodide, exposed in a camera and developed over heated mercury. The result was a single, incredibly sharp image, but entirely monochrome. Almost immediately, artists asked the same question: can we add color? The first to try was Johann Baptist Eisenring, a Swiss painter and printmaker. In 1839-1840, he developed a method using pigments mixed with gum arabic, colored powder fixed with gentle heat. His technique became the foundation of early hand tinting, but the daguerreotype silver surface was fragile. Color wouldn't easily adhere until Hippolyte Fizeau introduced a process to increase the brilliance of the daguerreotypes by treating and strengthening the silver image with a solution of gold chloride in 1840. By bathing the plate in the solution mixture and heating it, the surface hardened, allowing pigments to bond. With this breakthrough, hand tinting spread across Europe and North America. Inventors soon pushed beyond simple pigments. In the early 1840s, American experimenter Daniel Davis Jr. patented a method of electrochemical tinting. A daguerreotype plate was submerged in a chemical bath while connected to a galvanic battery. By touching the positive electrode to specific areas, Davis claimed he could paint colors directly onto the metal. The idea was brilliant, but the results were inconsistent. A year later, Warren Thompson improved the method for stereoscopic daguerreotypes, using protective sleeves to protect areas between electrolysis baths. This allowed selective coloring, but the process remained too complex for commercial studios. Then came Reverend Levi Hill, whose 1850s helotype claimed to produce natural color photographs. Hill's process involved sensitizing plates with chlorine, bromine, and iodine, then developing them in a cocktail of chemicals, some explosive, some toxic. He produced muted blues, reds, and oranges, but later analysis revealed that some colors were hand-applied. Despite the controversy, Hill's work proved one thing: the world desperately wanted color. While Europe and America experimented with chemistry, Japan perfected the art of hand coloring. In the 1860s, photographers like Felice Beato, Kusakabe Kimbe, and Yokoyama Matsusaburo created breathtaking hand-tinted albumen prints. They employed teams of 20 to 100 colorists, many trained in traditional ukiyo-e painting. Their colors were vibrant, layered, and precise, far beyond the subtle tints common in Europe. Japanese studios became world famous. Tourists visiting Yokohama purchased hand-colored prints as souvenirs, and these images influenced colorists across the globe. This Japanese mastery would later echo in Canadian studios, especially in the early 20th century, when hand-colored prints became popular wedding gifts and travel mementos. Photography reached Canada in the early 1840s, only a few years after Daguerre's announcement. And almost immediately, Canadian studios and photographers all across the country began offering hand-tinted portraits, photographic postcards, and landscapes. Early Canadian photo studios, like Livernois in Quebec City, Hayashi in Vancouver, and Notman out of Montreal, were producing hundreds of hand-colored photos and photographic postcards. Two of the more famous Canadian hand-tinted photos were The Carpenter in Canada, which was taken in 1850 by an unknown photographer, and the 1917 Munitions Workers image, which was taken by William James on a glass transparency known as a lantern slide. Hand coloring photographs in Canada began in the mid-1800s, when early studios added soft tints, pink cheeks, and warm skin tones to bring life to otherwise monochrome portraits. By the late 19th century, artists were using watercolors, oils, pastels, and crayons to transform tintypes and studio portraits into something closer to painted miniatures. Between 1915 and 1925, the craft hit its peak. For a growing middle class, hand-colored photographs became stylish, affordable gifts, popular for weddings, holidays, and family keepsakes. Behind the scenes, this work was often done by women, whose precision and patience made them essential to the industry. Hand tinting became a job or career where a large specialized workforce of colorists, many of them women, handled the delicate tinting work. Some photographers did their own tinting, but many hired people to do the delicate, painstaking work for them. One international example is Elizabeth and Bert Thuillier, a mother and daughter team from Paris, who between approximately 1897 and 1912 had more than 200 employees hand coloring negative and positive photographs on paper, on glass, on silk, on leather, on celluloid parchment, stereoscopic prints on glass, colored slides, and even film coloring for cinematography. In 1895, a 45-second hand-tinted silent film called Annabelle's Serpentine Dance was produced. Approximately 900 frames were painted by hand to give the impression of the dancer's dress changing color. More than one copy of this film was hand-tinted and distributed, but by the 1930s, the Great Depression and the rise of practical color film began to eclipse the craft. Hand coloring survived longest in remote regions where color film was scarce, but by the mid-20th century, the era had largely faded. In 1907, the Lumiere brothers introduced autochrome, the first commercially successful color process. It used microscopic grains of dyed potato starch, orange, green, and violet, to filter light and create a color image. In 1935, Kodak released Kodachrome, a multi-layer color film that produced rich, stable colors. These innovations gradually replaced hand coloring. Today, hand-colored photographs are treasured artifacts, tiny windows into the past, shaped by chemistry, artistry, and human imagination. Even though new AI tools can easily color black and white pictures and even animate them, are they as nice as the hand-tinted ones? You be the judge. In the next episode of HI Before AI, we will explore another early photographic trick that shaped how we see the world.